Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Wednesday, December 1st, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are available absolutely free on the website at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner that says Start Here, it'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. That book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? That specific chapter of the book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 17 years to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships, and to help me turn any negative emotional experience into part of the infallible guidance system that each one of us has been given. You can also download the worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Download it, copy it off, and use it as often as you like. You can also download a host of audio files of shows just like this one where people have been stepped through that worksheet process and or given testimonials about how the active use of that tool has improved the quality of their lives. And you can go to your app store and type in the three words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. We hope people do that soon and often because it leads to comments and questions or testimonials. And if you have any of those to offer, give us a call at 563-999-3581. And call that number and press 1 to let me know you have a comment or a question. We're doing the Course in Miracles workbook lessons this year. This is the 335th day of the year. Today's lesson simply reads, I choose to see my brother's sinlessness. The commentary reads, forgiveness is a choice. I never see my brother or sister as he or she is, for that is far beyond the potential of perception. What I see in him is merely what I wish to see, because it stands for what I want to be in the truth. It is to this alone that I respond, however much I seem to be impelled by outside happenings. I choose to see what I would look upon, and this then I see, and only this. My brother and sister's sinlessness shows me that I would look upon my own. And I will see that, having chosen to behold my fellow travelers in this holy light. What could restore your memory to me except to see my brother and sister's sinlessness? Their holiness reminds me that they were created as one with me and like myself. In them I find myself, and in your offspring I find the memory of you as well. So that's Lesson 335 in Pam Grout's Course in Miracles Experiment. 335 is titled Rolling in Ecstasy. She quotes Emily Bronte as saying, every leaf speaks bliss to me, fluttering from the autumn tree. Pam writes, one afternoon when my daughter Taz was 4, she was playing, quote, Mom, close quotes, in the backyard with her friend, Ashley. Ashley had taken her turn being mom and had dutifully washed the pretend dishes, hung up the pretend laundry, and ordered her pretend daughter, my daughter Taz, to pick up her toys. When Taz's turn came, she said, okay, now I'm the mom. I'm going to go meditate. It was one of the proudest moments of my life. My daughter believed that's what moms do first. I don't remember her friend's response, but I do know this. The most important thing I could ever do is get in tune with the divine buzz, the dude, the Holy Spirit, all of creation, God, light, love, whatever you want to call it. To get in tune with that and to know, as Lesson 335 promises, this moment is all there is. I can read all the books, follow all the steps, write affirmations to the moon and back, and yet, until I begin to feel the invisible, yet palpable buzz of right now, I will spend my life searching. I'll be searching for what is right here in this moment. So that's our Course in Miracles workbook lesson and the Course in Miracles experiment commentary. And as usual, we've got time to talk. 563-999-3581. Call that number and press 1 and let us know how we can be of support to you today. We had our Tuesday support group last night, and somebody did a worksheet, and the discussion and the worksheet and discussion after the worksheet took up the entire 2.5 hours, so that was a little bit different for a support group process. I was busy doing some of my own work this morning on emotions like feeling lost and vulnerable and feelings of grief. And we have the tools to help you if you want to deal with some of those energies, emotions, thoughts, etc., and get access to how they might be good information for you, how they might help you choose a course in your life that is more productive, moving into allowance and acceptance and surrender as opposed to running from your emotions, as so many of us are conditioned to do in this world, in this culture. And the Reality Management Worksheet is one of the most, if not the most, effective, efficient, powerful, and because it's made available absolutely free on the internet, accessible tools I've ever encountered. I like to tell people that after 47 years of doing therapy and taking trainings in, it's 5 different states for various jobs I've held over the years and for the ongoing postdoctoral education to keep the licensure current, etc. This is the most, let's call it, available and accessible set of tools I've ever encountered. Transferable, generalizable. I talk sometimes about how occasionally somebody comes up with a wonderful new technique, whether it's the EMDR or the brain spotting, and I remember there was a rapid transformation therapy as a kind of a much more flexible type of hypnosis, and it was amazing what the creator of this technique could help people do in short order. And lots and lots of different times I tried it with people. I took the training in it. I worked with other people who'd taken the training. And I don't know anybody who got anywhere near the results that the creator did, the creator of that technique did. And that's one of the consistent patterns I would find with this these therapy techniques is they work wonders in the hands of a creative genius and somebody who resonates very deeply with the work and who gets it at a powerful level. And yet, for the average person, it's very, very, what we call it, ordinary results. Not too much different than they get with regular talk therapy. So if you end up being, a charismatic or creative genius, you can get powerful results with those techniques. But other than that, it's pretty much one is like the other. And this one thing that I've run across, the Reality Management Worksheet and its corollary tools available at whyagain.org, is the exception to that rule. This is the kind of thing where time and again I've worked with people who never did one before, and all I'm doing is reading the worksheet process. Or if it happens to come up near the end of a session and I don't have much time to talk about it, I just give them the worksheet and say, here, listen to an audio file or two and give it a try, and we'll talk more about it in the next session. And they come back in the next session and they've had a powerful experience. And of course, like with most powerful tools, the more I practice it, the greater facility I get with it, the better my results. And yet, it doesn't take the doctorate in clinical psychology, it doesn't take the creative genius, it doesn't take years and years of training to be able to begin getting good results with these tools. So, if any of that's of interest to you, let us know how we can support you, either in learning more about these tools or in actually applying them in your life. As I said, today I was doing work on emotions of grief and an emotion of feeling lost and vulnerable. And highly beneficial. Just continuing to map out what is my mind telling me about how or why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and what is my mind telling me needs to happen in order for me to get relief or peace or calm or the sense of safety. And once I've mapped that out in the first 3 steps of the worksheet process, and then I decide to be willing to cancel it, and then turn my focus inward, turn my focus to an insight, an intuition, a higher level of awareness or consciousness that's accessed inside myself, that's part of my awareness, part of my connection to Source. And once I'm willing to do that and stay open to whatever bubbles up, things start to change. It continues to benefit me, sometimes amaze me, how it bypasses the conscious and the logical mind. And it, even though it defies the conscious logical mind, it offers benefits. It offers new ways to look at old situations. It offers a shift in my energy. One of the things I was doing this morning was doing that kind of work on a dream I had, and I had this long, involved dream, and I had this set of themes that came up in the dream, so I decided to do some energy work and worksheet process on that, and it led to awareness that there's grief in there. It led to awareness that there's a sense of loss and loneliness and lack of safety in me, in my internal processing, that I wasn't aware of. And it went back to, a really early age, single digits, age 4 or 5, and things I had downloaded in my life from back then that essentially, like most of the, if not all of the negative thoughts and negative energies I experience, was based in a false perception. It was based in something I'd been conditioned to believe that just isn't the way things work. It's not the truth of life. And in this work, over and over again, we're led to observe every time I have a negative thought about myself or somebody else, or a negative emotion active in my mind, my energy system, my body, I can instantly know 3 things. The first one is, it's a lie or based in a falsehood. The next thing is, it's an old tape playing. The thoughts and emotions that I'm dealing with right now have nothing to do with the current situation. It's me living in the past, to quote Jethro Tull, song lyrics. And if I act from that space, I will only, always and forever, make my current life situation worse, not better. So I have the choice. I can act from it. I can believe that my thoughts are telling me the truth about the present moment experience. Or I can tap into the great observations from the deep spiritual teachings from thousands of years and recognize that if I'm in pain, I'm in error. That if my thought process is leading me to create pictures of the world where my essence is threatened, that I'm not perceiving accurately, that I'm engaging the process of perception, which is highly active and internal and unique to me. One of the lines from a previous worksheet that Dr. Michael Rice had when I first started this work about 17 or 18 years ago, one of those lines said, "The truth is, my reality is strictly internal, it's unique to me, and it's created out of my own thoughts." And that's an observation that each and every one of us can make. That's an observation that our science keeps validating and verifying at different levels and getting more and more specific about. So I can wake up to that, and I can combine that with the observation that if I'm in pain, my thinking is in error. Course in Miracles, in the very beginning of the introduction, it says, this course can be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of the Creator. Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. So when I'm feeling threatened, what I know from these ancient teachings is I am not perceiving accurately. Short of an actual physical threat to my physical survival, if I am having an experience where I feel I'm being verbally or emotionally attacked, or my work is being attacked, and if I feel like I need to defend my work or defend how I'm right here and the other person's wrong, and what we know from the ancient teachings is when that happens, it's only happening because my thoughts are off the mark. And it's my errant thoughts, my distortion of perception, that are creating the pictures my mind is showing me. And if I want peace, if I want to see more accurately the truth of what is, I need to find a way to restore the essence of that awareness of my true nature as love to my conscious logical mind, I need to step into a process that will help me see the errors in my thought. And these tools are available to do just that. And everything else I do, every thinking, every acting, every speaking I do before I restore that calm to my mind is launching myself off on the wild goose chase. It's trying to pursue something that I already possess, and I can't go anywhere or do anything to acquire that which I already possess. The knowledge of that, the ability to wake up to that truth, and the tools that are available at whyagain.org set me up for success if I'm willing to engage the process. If I'm not, if I want to fight for my negative emotion, if I want to argue about how I'm right and the world or the person in front of me or the life situation is wrong, then I continue to stay stuck. I continue to ignore the truth that is true always, that is, I and my Father are one, as the Way of Mastery would say, or I remain as the Creator created me to be, as the Way of Mastery would say. Principles of miracles in the Course in Miracles say there is no order of difficulty among miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love, all of the extensions of the creative energy into form are as full as they can possibly be in each moment. Miracles as such do not matter. The only thing that matters is the source of miracles, which is far beyond any human evaluation. That's the energy of creation, the energy of love, light, God, it's all that is, whatever. That's what matters, not how it unfolds, but its essence is what matters. It goes on to say, miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is that love is the love that inspires the miracles. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. All miracles mean life, and the Creator is the giver of life. The voice for creation will direct you very specifically, and you will be told all that you need to know if you learn to listen to that still small voice. Interestingly enough to me, the Reality Management Worksheet gives me a chance to practice listening to that still small voice in each worksheet process. It gives me the opportunity to cancel everything my conscious logical mind is telling me and everything that I want to say to defend my teachings or my belief system or my actions, and to argue against how my thoughts, teachings, actions, or beliefs are better than somebody else's. Every worksheet gives me the opportunity to cancel all of that and ask to be shown something else. When I do that little, I often say, I said it again in the group last night, when I step into that practice of that brief meditation and I'm asking to be shown the hidden part of my mind, I'm giving myself yet one more chance at practicing listening for the still small voice, listening to the voice for miracles, listening to the voice of the Creator, listening for what some call the Great Comforter, the Holy Spirit, the voice within. And it's a practice that we've gotten out of, habit of doing, and we can practice and strengthen that skill and get better at it. Do we choose to do that? That's the question. Do I choose to listen, to practice listening to the voice for sanity, the voice for creation, the voice for love, the voice for connectedness, the voice for compassion. I love the way Guy Finley says this over and over again. He says, call it whatever you want. The essence of life, the wisdom of creation, the one mind, God, light, love, it doesn't matter what you call it. It's not sitting somewhere in some other location outside of you with an ego that needs to be appeased. It just extends its energy. It just extends creation in every moment. So call it what you will, and give yourself an opportunity to slow down and tune into it. And the more you do, the easier it gets and the better you get at doing it. It's like any other skill. It's a skill that can be practiced. So many of us are working from the position of the training of our culture, which ends up hoping against hope to constantly keep us distracted so that we will participate in the drama and trauma of the world. What happens when we continue to participate in the drama and trauma of the world? We get stressed, we get upset, we get sad, we get angry, we get hurt, we get overwhelmed. And then we get looking for something to take us out of it. And that's when the drama and trauma of the world says, oh, we've got the answer. Here's the car you need. Here's the drug you need. Here's the fancy new home you need. Here's the game you need to be playing. It's an endless parade of distractions. And those distractions don't hold any answers. They promise answers, but they don't hold any answers. It reminds me of the story Guy Finley told of the World War II plane that went down in the atolls and the islands. And everybody survived, but, the plane was wrecked and the radio was ruined so that only the receiver worked and they couldn't transmit out. And so the captain said, well, I know they're going to be looking for us. I know they're going to transmit the coordinates for where we need to go and when to get rescued. So we can't go out in the daylight, so we're hiding down here in this cave. But at night, I want you, Private, to go up to this mountaintop and just sit there and tune the radio and listen to the frequency, and they're going to broadcast the details of where we need to go to get rescued. So that's your job. Just go up there and sit and tune into this radio. And so he went first night, came back, and the captain said, so what'd you hear? And he said, oh, nothing. Second night, well, what'd you learn? Oh, nothing. Third night, same thing, and the captain thought, there's something wrong here. So for the fourth night, and the private goes up there, the captain follows after him, and he just hides and listens to what's going on. And what he hears is the private's up there just surfing the radio dial. And he's listening to programs in all these various languages, French, German, Czechoslovakian, Russian. And the captain bursts out of the hiding and says, what are you doing, man? I've seen your personnel file. I know you don't speak any of those languages. Why are you just surfing the dial instead of staying on the frequency I told you to listen to how we can get rescued? And the private said, well, Captain, I got lonely. I didn't want to be up here all by myself. That's the story of our lives. We don't want to sit quietly with ourselves or sit quietly with the still small voice. We want to buy into the distractions And we do, and at some immediate level of distraction or comfort or relief, but at a very high price long term. We stay stuck. We don't get connected to that which can save us, rescue us, teach us about ourselves is another way of talking about it. That's what we need to do. Each and every one of us needs to learn more about our true nature. The more we learn about our true nature, the better our lives get. The less we need to escape from some perception which is a distortion of our true nature, which generates the negative thoughts and emotions that we spend our times looking for distractions from. So we are blessed because we have access to tools that can help us cancel everything we think we want. Make a little mental map of what are we doing with our conscious logical thought to create the upset that we then try desperately to get rid of. And then in each worksheet process, get access to this practice session where I cancel my need to be right, I cancel my need for anyone or anything else to change, including myself. I put my conscious logical mind on the shelf, and I ask to be shown. And in the asking, and in the calm, quiet period after, I practice listening for the still small voice. I practice being open to insight, intuition, connection to a higher level of wisdom. That's the core of this work. That's the unspeakable, unspeakable not because it's horrible, but because there just aren't any words to describe the power of a process like this. Its power is not outstripped by anything. Its simplicity is only outstripped by its power. So our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. How is it striking you? How do you, or what comments or questions do you have about anything from the past 10 years or Friday's show where we talked about the invitation was to take everyone and everything off of a pedestal. So, Susan, welcome. Hopefully your microphone will be on soon. Hello.
Hi, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear all right? Hi.
Yep.
I listened to almost all of Friday's thing about the not making an idol out of anyone or putting someone on a pedestal, and it's been mind-blowingly life-changing to think about things that way, because I think it's a global exercise for everything we do. And I haven't finished it, so I'm not going to say much about it, but it was really, really good. I have a question, though, that's probably all questions that I ask are going to end up being related to that. But we just saw our grandson Jacob off in his car driving all the way from here to Florida, which is about a 14-hour trip. And he is so much better, but he is heavily medicated, and I was talking to you about that yesterday and about how the Lyle Murphy talk may be useful at some point. He's been diagnosed as bipolar and mildly autistic. He's very disturbed about the bipolar diagnosis and keeps asking me, do I think he is? Do I think he is? And I say, I can't tell. And I wouldn't pay any attention to that right now. Just be as well as you can. Watch your moods, see what happens there. But one thing I did hear or read the other day is that a person becomes bipolar at the point of when something happened to them that was very, very traumatic. And so it might be age 14 or something. Something terrible happens and they become bipolar. I wondered if you could do anything with that statement. Tell me it's false, I hope. Or how do they know that?
It's a bunch of words. It's a bunch of words and thoughts. They don't know that.
Good.
You know, it's a diagnosis. What Dr. Michael Rice talk about that. He says, dia is two, and gnosis is knowing or not knowing, and so it's two who don't know. I mean, I can tell you that I've lost count of how many people I've had in my caseload who come in and they've got the diagnosis of bipolar and or schizophrenia, and they're on all these medications. And of course, when you get the diagnosis of bipolar or schizophrenia, what you're told is, this is the truth, this is who you are, it will never change, this is a lifelong thing. And I've lost track of how many people I've done therapy with who've had that diagnosis, either of those diagnoses, and have been on all kinds of medications, and when they're doing the right kind of therapy work, it isn't too long before they're not on any medications and or they're on many fewer medications, and they've got none of the symptoms that would lead someone to give them that diagnosis. And remember, the diagnosis is simply a checklist of symptoms that are either observed and or self-reported. That's all it is. It's a label. It's nothing, it's not like you can look at a bone and it's whole and complete, and you look at another bone and it's got a fracture in it. There is nothing that concrete about any of these labels. Yeah, there are some people who have lived lives that just seemed to get worse and worse and progressively worse over time, etc. And maybe even some of those who had access to the really good, effective therapies, etc. But the fact of the matter is, it's just words. It's not a thing. This is not, and if there were a science behind it, the science would be there to disprove it. Because as I'm saying, if the founder of one of the four founders of the Journey's Dream got the diagnosis of bipolar, had, I don't know how many, 8 or 9 hospitalizations, had all kinds of drugs that he was on, and they said, this is it, you got to stay on these drugs the rest of your life. Well, he knew better, and he found treatments that were effective, and he no longer has any of the symptoms, and he's not taking any of those medications.
Oh, what a great story. I want to be able to tell that to Jacob, because he just does not want to be that. He wants to be well. It's great to see that. But, man, that would be wonderful.
I just did an interview with Dr. Ronald Bassman, and he got the diagnosis of schizophrenia because he had one psychotic episode when he was in his 20s. And not only did he get that diagnosis, they locked him in a hospital and they gave him like 40 different insulin coma treatments. It's a wonder they didn't permanently damage his brain beyond his ability to function at all. And then he got out, slowly recovered from what they were calling the treatments, the physical abuse that went on. And then he got a little racy in his thoughts again. They put him in the hospital again. This time they loaded him up on different meds. And he got out. He got some good help. He got his doctorate. He became a psychologist. He's been working in the field for years, decades now. And he's an advocate for patient rights. There are all kinds of people that we've been meeting for the past almost 2 years through the Journey Stream On Your Mind podcast who have had lived experience with mental health challenges, with very intrusive psychiatric and psychological interventions, and all kinds of people who've gone through it and come out on top and learned that there are many other things you can do other than stay in therapy for the rest of your life and take these mind-numbing drugs, etc. That's one of the big reasons that we're doing almost every week for, it'll be 2 years this next February, interviews with people, either those who've been through and they were consumers of mental health services, or they're psychiatrists, integrative psychiatrists, functional medicine psychiatrists, or both. There are several people that, the one woman, Dr. Leela Masumi, is an integrative psychiatrist, and she said in the interview, I have been on almost every medication I ever prescribed to a patient.
Wow.
So she's had firsthand lived experience, and she knows how counterproductive it can be to just be thrown on a medication and told that this is your life and you're on this path to no life at all. So there are just a host of stories like that in the On Your Mind podcast archive. So it's not just one or two stories. It's an entire world out there of people who've had lived experiences and come through it. And the label is not the thing, and the person is not the label.
Well, he wants that kind of hope. That's good. I could even have him listen to this little part of the podcast, the radio show. Yeah, that's very encouraging to hear. He's also frightened because he has heard that having used LSD and mushrooms and nicotine and weed and what was it else? Something else. He's been on a lot of stuff, and he went off everything totally cold turkey without any supervision and became extremely sick, and that's what put him in the hospital and got him to us and from there into this program. I think what his body and mind went through during about 5 weeks of extreme detox stress without any help. Now he's afraid that he's hurt his voice and he's hurt his memory, he's hurt his short and long-term memory, and he's hurt his mind in general permanently, and he talks like that. I'm afraid I hurt myself totally and forever. He's 21. I'd love to also be able to say the brain regenerates, you're going to be fine, you're just going to stay off those things forever, and he feels committed to do that. Turned in his medical marijuana card, actually got an agreement from the company that if he should show up with his driver's license wanting to get weed, he would be refused. He did that. An amazing kid. But this is a sort of like living with a diagnosis. He keeps diagnosing himself as having ruined himself. And
well, just hold the space for him that he can learn differently. And he's young, and the more they do research on the brain, the more they learn about neuroplasticity, which means, among other things, the brain's ability to heal itself, the brain's ability to learn new things, the brain's ability to restructure itself to compensate for physical damage, etc. And just hold the space that he's going to grow into that, and just make sure that you minimize the amount of time you spend in that upset with him.
Right.
Just refuse to participate in the anxiety, angst-ridden energy, because, if it's a negative thought about myself or somebody else, or a negative emotion active in my mind, I can instantly know it's false. It's not about the present moment. It's an old tape playing. And if I act from it or spend a lot of time pouring my mind energy into it, I'm just going to make my current situation worse. I can't help myself or anybody else if I'm stuck pouring my mind energy into thoughts that generate negative emotions.
Well, I'm letting you know them, but I've been good, Dr. Tim. The tools have helped me just stay totally steady and upbeat, seeing Jacob as healed, well, good, wonderful company, and he's every day he seems better. So thanks for listening to the downside. I've been keeping it quarantined from him. Yeah.
Yeah, think of your mind energy as a very powerful creative force. And you are, this is one of the things Michael Rice says in some of his early lectures, he would say it a lot. You know, like the biggest tragedy of our lives is that we've had hidden from us the fact that we are creators and that we are actively creating our experience of life. So think about that. Remind yourself of that. What are you feeling in this moment? If it's any negative emotion, take a breath, turn the focus inside and ask yourself, okay, how am I creating this negative emotion? Just the more I do that, the more I interrupt the pattern of pouring my mind energy into the negative emotions or the thoughts that create the negative emotions, and the less time I spend in negative emotions in my life. It's a huge boon to my quality of life. Just that tool. Scanning, staying aware of the earliest warning signs that I'm in a negative emotional state, and taking that breath and asking myself, okay, how am I creating this? Alternatively, I ask myself, what am I making this situation mean? That it seems like a good thing to generate this negative emotion. And with that simple tool alone and my willingness to apply it, I've created a life where I spend the tiniest fraction of my life in negative emotional states compared to what I did before I began that practice.
Right.
Just waking up to the fact that you are a creator of your life experience, that where you focus your mind energy is a powerful creative force. If you find yourself spinning in negativity, you're creating that experience for yourself. If you have had some experience with energies like gratitude and compassion and appreciation and cherishing, and if you've had some experience with that, in the moment where you recognize that you're pouring your mind energy into something that generates a negative emotion, you can make the shift in that next moment. Shifting your thoughts and begin creating the experience of the better, happier, more compassionate, more joyful, more strong, more safe emotion. That's one of the core teachings in this work, to help us wake up, to observe it directly and wake up to the fact that we are creating our experience of life in each moment. And we're doing it by what we're choosing to focus our conscious awareness upon. And just right there, just wake up to how different that is than when you first started tuning into this work. You were convinced of the exact opposite, that the more time you spent in the negative emotional energy of worry, the better your life would go, the better your son's life would go. His plane would stay in the air, etc.
That is so true. It's been a
and the
life
only thing
changer
that
for
ever
sure.
did, the only thing that ever did was give you more time to be in the misery. So, to whatever degree you can, try to help yourself remember you're a creator. You're creating your life experience in each moment. You're not necessarily creating all the external events that come at you and move around you in your life, and yet you are definitely, in each new present moment, creating your experience of that flow of life energy. And it works. These tools are powerful. We had another example last night. Somebody on the internet, not in the internet show, but on the support group, called in and was facing some rather stuck feelings about a family member and some family drama that had evolved over the holiday and weeks leading up to the holiday. And in one worksheet, at the beginning when we were starting to talk about it, before she got to 1C in the worksheet, her upset level was a 9 out of 10. Wow. And at the end of the worksheet, it was down to a level 1. And she started with, anger and righteous indignation, and at the end, the primary emotion was sadness. But her upset level was down to a 1.
Wonderful.
And she had insight into a series of other worksheets she could do to continue to dismantle it even more. That's the power of this set of tools. And there's no figuring it out. There's just applying the tool. There's nothing I could have told her prior to that worksheet about where it was going to go and what it would lead to in her life. I don't even know this woman, right? I didn't know her growing up. I don't know anything of her family drama and history. All of that unfolds when she cancels what her mind tells her she needs to have happen and asks to be shown. And it was, just another wonderful example of the power of this tool.
So, Dr. Tim, once we're doing the work, what I found, and maybe this has always been true, but I'm very aware of it now, is, for instance, in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and my mind will be crowded with regrets and remembering something that I did that was stupid. And I know this is very common, but once we're doing the work, are we kind of opening the way to remember things in order to resolve them and get them worked on? It's like the opposite of suppression. Everything feels invited to show up now.
It can be, yes. Some people experience that. And especially when they've gained facility with the tools, they welcome that.
Okay. I'm not
right, because I know I can clear this out. Yeah. Yeah, when it's been hiding and I haven't been able to deal with it when it's in hiding, and now it's out in the open, I welcome it.
And maybe that's part of the aging process, too. I had an aunt years ago. We watched out for her. She didn't have children of her own. And we watched out for her toward the end of her life. And what she was doing is remembering more and more some painful things that happened to her in her childhood, trying to realize, figure out, or whatever, trying to understand why certain things went the way they did. Now, during her life, she was very engaged, and I don't think that sort of thing was bothering her. I wonder if it's part of the aging process itself. In the Hindu tradition, they say that toward the end of your life, you may feel a lot of anguish over earlier events and thoughts and things you did. And they call that prarabdha karma, especially in the soul of a very high soul. The person is actually burning off the last of the dross before they are purified enough to go into heaven. It's a lovely idea. It's a lovely idea, too.
It's a fun story.
Yeah. Isn't it great?
Lovely
I love
idea.
it.
It's a
Don't
fun
tell me it
story.
isn't true.
Yeah. I have no idea it's true. You'll have no idea it's true. The only way you'll know if it's true or not is if you live into it.
Well, it certainly makes the having of the bad memories have a happier purpose. Yeah, it's a story, but a useful one maybe. Like, I'm having this. This is a blessing. Yeah. I get to be finished with it so I can go clean into heaven.
But the other thing that makes it easier or a blessing or whatever is to recognize it's just energy. It's just a memory. It's just a thought. The thought is not the thing. I am not my thoughts. I don't need to be traumatized by them any more than I'm traumatized by a 2-mile-an-hour wind that comes by when I'm on a walk in the spring or in the fall. Right? That the impact of those thoughts only has the impact on me that I give them. They only have the meaning for me that I give them. That's even more beneficial than buying into that whole story about a certain type of karma.
It's great, actually, and I've heard you say that many times, but you picked the right time to say it again. It went in the gray matter, I think, for the first time, maybe. Thanks.
You are very welcome and deserving. And we're down to our last couple minutes before I'm supposed to start a best of show for Michael and Jeannie. So thank you once again for your comments and questions and calls and helping us move through the hour in what I hope is beneficial for everyone involved. I will mute you so we can do the transition, but thanks again for the call. I will remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are the energy of love, extending in form, and everything else is false. And here comes a healing through relationships first hour of one of Michael Rice's signature seminars. Blessings.